For every one person that takes their life, an average of 6 people are impacted to the degree that they cannot function in society and the way they were accustomed to, radically flipping their world upside down. I want you to think about that. So for every one person that the devil convinces there's no hope, that nobody loves you, that there's no other way to deal with this situation, for every one person that happens to, that they buy the lie, 6 people's lives will be flipped upside down. The enemy will hurl guilt. They will hurl upon them pain and suffering. The enemy will actually try to infect these people who are broken with anger. And he will try to manipulate all of these emotions to his glory. And listen, I've seen this. I've seen the enemy work, and it's amazing. You think the enemy was just after one person, and the process, he is after a harvest. It's absolutely demonic. One of the darkest things that we can talk about is this subject. And I want to begin by giving you a little bit of perspective as to what we are dealing with in our society. This is what we read, a few statistics. In 2020, almost 46,000 Americans died by suicide. Suicide is the 12th leading cause of death in the U.S. Every day, approximately 125 Americans die by suicide. Every single day. There is one suicide death in the U.S. every 11 and a half minutes. There is one suicide death for every estimated 25 suicide attempts. There are approximately almost 1.2 million annual attempts in the U.S., or one attempt every 27 and a half seconds. Are you feeling the weight of this war? That the devil is convincing so many people that not 30 seconds goes by where someone has bought another lie. Not 30 seconds. And I think of that in Revelation chapter 12. It says, "Woe to the inhabitants of the earth, for the devil has come down to you. Great wrath." He's come down to us in great wrath because he knows he has a short time. You want to know how short his time is? He doesn't let 30 seconds go without peddling another lie, convincing someone to take their life. We're living in a culture of death. We are promoting death. You want to know what I'm talking about? I mean, it's gotten so bad, people, that we are glamorizing suicide. It's now fashionable. And may I say, people would portray it as compassionate, as mercy. This is what's being purported. This is what you would call euthanasia. This is what you would call physician-assisted suicide. Medical News Today said, what are euthanasia and assisted suicide? A doctor is allowed by law to end a person's life by painless means as long as the person and their family agree. Whereas assisted suicide, a doctor assists an individual in taking their own life if the person requests it. And so according to this definition, Medical News Today, is euthanasia, the doctor would actually be facilitating the lethal injection. The doctor would give it. In assisted suicide, he simply gives him the medication, the toxic medication, and that person takes it themselves, at home or wherever they may be. We're romanticizing the concept of suicide right now. This is what is happening, and it's being portrayed as dignity in death. It's being portrayed, and I'm not making this up, as compassion in choice. Physician-assisted suicide is legal in 11 jurisdictions: California, Colorado, District of Columbia, Hawaii, Montana, Maine, New Jersey, New Mexico, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington. This is already legal in parts of our country. It's legal in other countries, but the trend is growing. I would be promoting this. I would be out on the front lines if it were not for this. You shall not murder. You're not to take the life of another person, nor are you to take your own. You know, this one commandment, 2 words in the Hebrew, this one commandment completely dismantles Satan's entire campaign, where he romanticizes this whole concept of suicide, whether independent or whether assisted. It's the word. It stops you dead in your tracks. It doesn't allow you to get to that point. We read in Psalm 119, and I'll put this up here with this commandment. This is my comfort and my affliction. Understand, the psalmist is suffering. He's in affliction. Where is he drawing comfort from? Is it from the counsel of the world, the ideology of the world, or is it from the counsel of the Lord? He says this, your word has given me life. It's given me life. You know, the only way, listen to me carefully, because it's getting so dark and so twisted, and the thinking of the world is so perverse because they're being led by the devil. If you think for one moment that you have a chance of going toe-to-toe with the devil on your own, you'll never win that battle. You are outmatched, you are outgunned, you are outwitted, you will be outstrategized. You don't have the physical power, you don't have the spiritual power, you don't have the spiritual means to defend yourself. The only way you get that is by running. You know, the name of Yeshua is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and they are saved. I want to bring to the table 3 men, all mentioned in Scripture, all had a place in ministry. And yet all 3 of them commit suicide. You think about this, that there is suicide mentioned in the Word. And they were known by God, and they served God. And yet this happened. And so this is a very real thing. To think that the church should say that they're impervious to this action of suicide is delusional. The Bible tells us otherwise. You know what I've been seeing? There's a trend. Something that I never heard growing up. Pastors taking their life. Pastors are committing suicide. The very ones that are supposed to stand in the pulpit and proclaim the life and salvation is in Yeshua Jesus. And now the devil is convincing shepherds there's no hope. I want to take you to 1 Samuel. Let's look at this. Then Saul said to his armor bearer, draw your sword and thrust me through with it, lest these uncircumcised men come and thrust me through and abuse me. But his armor bearer would not, for he was greatly afraid. I want to stop right there. When you think about euthanasia, assisted suicide, he wouldn't do it. Saul wanted it. He said, kill me, take me out. He wouldn't do it. And that was wise. So what'd Saul do? Saul goes on, therefore Saul took a sword and fell on it. Saul committed suicide. We're going to jump to 2 Samuel. This is Ahithophel. Now the advice of Ahithophel, which he gave in those days, was as if one inquired at the oracle of God. So was all the advice of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom. You'll be hard-pressed to find a man that has been decorated in a way like Ahithophel, who served David. Absalom, the son of David, engorged with pride and treason, moved to take the throne. David has to go flee. And Ahithophel has this advice to give Absalom. And so we read what that advice is. Moreover, Ahithophel said to Absalom, now let me choose 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue David tonight. I will come upon him while he is weary and weak and make him afraid. And all the people who are with him will flee, and I will strike only the king. And when Ahithophel found out that his counsel wasn't received, that his plan to go murder the anointed of the Lord, David, this is what happens. Now, when Ahithophel saw that his advice was not followed, he saddled a donkey and arose and went home to his house, to his city. Then he put his household in order, and he hanged himself and died. And he was buried in his father's tomb. This sounds vaguely familiar to another story in the New Testament of another man who betrayed not David, but the Mashiach ben David, Judas Iscariot. Betrayed him with the intent of what? Putting him to death. Exactly like Ahithophel. And what did he do? Then Judas threw down the pieces of silver, 30 pieces, in the temple and departed, and he went and hanged himself. You see a departure in every one of these cases from the Lord. And I'm telling you, that's what's leading the charge here. That's what's leading the charge in this culture of death. It's rebellion against Yeshua, where you were totally reject him. You know, in this subject, my heart breaks. My heart breaks for how active the devil is in trying to take each and every one of you out. This is why I intercede. But I'm going to tell you something right now. If you're one of those that are hiding the devil's lies in your heart and in your mind, and you're not bringing this out, and you're not confiding in someone, and you're not confiding in the leadership, you've got to get this filth, these lies, out on the table. They need to be rebuked. They need to be renounced by you, and you need to run to the Lord. This is not a game that you're called to play.
Hey there, this is Mike at Corner Fringe Ministries, and I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch our video. We hope that it blessed you and it encouraged you. And if it did, please hit the thumbs up on the video and share it with your friends and family. It's also, if you haven't already considered, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, if you'd like to watch the entire video, click on this link. And if you'd like to watch the entire series and learn more about what we do and believe here at Corner Fringe Ministries, click on this link. Once again, I'd like to thank you for watching the video, and we hope to see you again soon. Shalom.